Hi, Ray.
Good morning, Dan. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Hey, no problem. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. And I want to talk about something in specific today, and that's kindness, because it's something I hear you talk about a lot, and I understand it's one of the guiding principles of your career. I was hoping you can give us a little bit of information about how kindness plays a role in your career and where does that come from?
Sure. Great question. And it's something that's really gained a tremendous amount. It's always been important to me, but it's really gained a tremendous amount of momentum really in the last 5 years or so. And I think it just really starts with just being true in your relationships. I think this is, as in all businesses, but especially the travel business, there's a real focus point on relationships and building trust and having gratitude. And I think that it's always been a real important part in people knowing they could trust me and knowing that they could count on me and knowing that I'll fight for what I believe in and to help support people, even when it's not the popular topic, so to speak. And I think I've been able to build really long lasting, mutually beneficial, trusting relationships. And kindness has been, at the real foundation of it. Even when I've had moments where I've had leverage in a negotiation, I've always attempted to be kind and find a mutually beneficial result to the negotiation.
Yeah, I mean, is it ever difficult to make that decision to prefer kindness over a different decision like you spoke about? I mean, when you are presented with two choices, I mean, how much does kindness play a role in your decision making?
I think it happens over time, as your career advances. I think early stages of your career, you try to lean towards what's the decision that's going to, get me the right outcome and so on and so forth. And then and I've been doing this a long time, I've been doing this 30 years. And so to me, it's not about winning every interaction. It's not about, obviously we want to do well as a company and so forth, but it's really about making a mark on people's lives and really knowing that when you had the advantage or so forth, did you act any differently? And now as I've matured in my career and been able to lead a wonderful group of people, I think it's now even more important than ever because I feel like much more of a role model, and I need to set an example for the company. And so it's really it's first and foremost in everything that I'm doing is, am I handling this the right way? Am I being kind? Am I helping to support someone who maybe has a challenge right now, who could really use a helping hand? And it's just gained a lot of momentum. I think our
Yeah.
team has never seen me yell, has never seen me be angry. And you see these old videos of the CEO in the 70s banging his hand on the desk and screaming and all that. And they just look like silly, insecure old men. And so, for me, it's really important to do things with grace and do things with kindness.
And you mentioned the industry in general, and from where I sit too, it seems like such a unique thing the travel industry has is this level of collaboration and this level of kindness that you mentioned. And I'm curious, I mean, is that something you see too? Do you see the industry built on kindness? And do you see any reason why the travel industry has grown this kind of way?
I think I've always seen it to a certain degree. I don't think I saw it to the degree that it is now. And I think COVID had a lot to do with that. I think people were really jarred. I saw a lot of collaboration that I was super proud to be part of this industry. Advisors that were networking together, not worried about who was going to win or who's going to get the customer, but just more so how can we all be better as a group. There's no group that worked more tirelessly for little to no compensation than the travel advisor group. And so I think that really lent to a lot of confidence building within the group and how we could stick together and so forth. And I know we made a lot of adjustments to some of our policies and so forth to try and help us all get through this time period. And I think it's sometimes when you're in your most difficult scenario is when you really need to lean in on kindness and gratitude, and that strength really helps accelerate through it. And so it was a tough period of time, but I don't think the industry has ever been stronger than it is right now. I think the way folks have learned from that and adjusted their business models moving forward has really made a huge difference. And it actually was a big difference between some of the other online companies and the travel advisors. The travel advisors, by being there for their customers and working through that, we've seen a lot of shift, back into the travel advisor space. And our travel advisor business is nothing short of booming right now.
And all the suppliers I speak to say the same thing, is that it's impossible to grow a business now in the industry without relying on supportive travel advisors. And that population seems to have a unique personality too. And I know we're talking about kindness here, and I'm going to mention it again. I mean, it seems advisors truly care, the ones who truly care for their clients and truly care for performing the best they can are really have that philosophy built into them.
Without a doubt. And I think you could look at it and say, anyone that's great at something, leans in on the tools they use and so forth. But I've really seen the whole industry really look at what's in the best interest of their client. How can they help them be in the right position to really optimize? Remember, we're dealing with people on their one special week of the year, on their vacation. We just got to get it right. And so it has been the case. And I think there's been a lot of teams leaning into each other and saying, how do we get through this together? And I think that's one of the things I'm most proud about in this industry, and proud about our team, how we got through COVID and got to the other side. And we really are a much stronger company, which much more sustainable advantages to compete for years to come with some of the things we went through during COVID.
Yeah. I'm curious, when you're talking to people who are maybe younger in their careers and you're talking about the success you've had, you mentioned kindness, things like that. Is that ever a difficult thing to communicate to people? Is because I know people, especially the ones who are building their careers, might overlook being kind in business as something they should be doing. Is it ever a difficult conversation for you to have?
It's never difficult. I think what happens is, like anything, when you hear something for the first time, I think there are certain people that think kindness, like, I don't get it. Like, is this like buying someone a coffee at Starbucks? Is this grandma made an apple pie? And there's a phrase I use regularly, and that's the kindest person in the room is the strongest. So there's a difference between being kind and being nice. I think nice is, you're cordial, you're complimentary, you're not looking to make any waves, just kind of want to get through the topic. Whereas kindness is really fighting for what you believe in, and fighting for others that maybe could use a little bit of support. So there's nothing weak about kindness. And I think when you say, is it a little tough? It's never tough, but just to build the trust when people realize it and see it, it probably takes a couple of iterations. And, the first time it might be like, gosh, that Ray and this kindness thing, I just don't get it, but once they see that it's really a staple of what we do, and there's a lot of, you can be a driving force in the boardroom, you can be aggressive, you can drive numbers, and you can do it in a kind way. And so I think that repetition of it is really what kind of turns people around. So the first couple of times, I think obviously no one really says it to my face that, oh my gosh, this kindness thing is silly, but you could sense them trying to absorb it. And then once they realize it and see examples of it, then I think it builds a lot of momentum.
I don't want to wrap this conversation up without talking a little bit about Travel Advisor Appreciation Month, because I know we're right in the middle of it right now. And I know ALGV always does something pretty big for advisors. What are your plans this year, and how has the reaction been from your partners?
It's been fantastic. This is one of the months I look forward to every year. I kind of look at every month as Travel Agent Appreciation Month, but this one especially, we lean in, and we double down this month. We want advisors to know that we genuinely care about their personal and professional well-being. But we have a Be Kind Unwind giveaway that includes a dozen air-inclusive trips, including one to Spain and an 11-night stay in Hawaii. So some pretty good ticket items. Advisors can also be entered to win a Business Builder tech kit to assist them in capturing and creating professional content while they're in destination. And we're giving advisors a way to give back by allowing them to donate their Waves points. And this is something we're really excited about. So the frontline advisor, gains points for their bookings for, various behaviors and so forth. And they're going to go to 6 different charities: the American Heart Association, Family Bonds Foundation, St. Jude's, Susan G. Komen, Tourism Cares, and Wounded Warriors. And all of these details can be found at algvacations.com/TAAM. So lots of other examples and platforms. Every time we do a travel advisor appreciation trip, we always do a give back. We're getting donations from folks, or we're actually rolling up our sleeves and doing some volunteer work, whether it's painting or repairing things. And we're always doing things with charities or women's shelters, or all different types of things. And there's never a dry eye in the house when we do that.
Yeah, I have to say I was lucky enough to participate on one of those give back trips, and it's really an incredible experience, and it shows you a whole different side of a vacation destination. So I really appreciate having the opportunity to do that. I'm sure the advisors appreciate the opportunities to do that as well.
It's so, as much as we'd like to think of all the business things we talk about on those trips, the big takeaway is always those. And it's always great to help someone, but when you can help someone who really needs some help, it has a multiplier effect. So it's always really tugging on our heartstrings on a regular basis. And thanks for joining us, Dan, on that.
Oh, I appreciate the opportunity, and I appreciate your time today too, Ray. I really like talking to you, and talking about kindness, I think, is something incredibly unique, and it's nice to have these kind of conversations.
And I think the more we work at it, Dan, we're gonna make kindness really cool and hip. And so it won't be this soft little blanket kind of thing. It'll be really something really strong, and I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Kindness is going to be cool. Yeah, so it's always great to see you, Ray, and hopefully I'll see you pretty soon.
Sounds great, Dan. All the best to you and your family.